Welcome. We'll start with one of the major topics for UPSC General Studies paper 4, that is ethics. Now under ethics, when it comes to the UPSC pattern, there are two types of questions that are asked. One is a direct kind of conceptual question or a theoretical question, and others are the case studies. So first what we would do under the paper 4, that is ethics, is we'll start with the conceptual and the theoretical part first. We'll have a broad understanding about the concept, and once we have that, we'll start practicing on the case studies. Usually 5 to 6 case studies are there, and case studies are definitely much more scoring. However, under theoretical section or the conceptual section, if you follow certain kind of parameters, then the paper becomes very scoring. So we'll start with the first topic, that is introduction to ethics. Now when it comes to introduction to ethics, we start with understanding the VAME concept, that's values, attitudes, morality and ethics. So these are 4 basic pillars for understanding the ethical concepts. Now all these 4 will be understanding one by one, and we'll see that all these 4 are different concepts. They are not kind of exactly same or overlapping concepts, first of all. Secondly, what we would cover today is simply the values and the attitudes. We'll be covering morality and ethics in a separate lecture because this is a very conceptual topic, and many of the students get confused between the basic difference of morality and ethics. So we'll be covering those in detail in a separate lecture. So let's first understand why this concept of VAME is important. Now VAME, or values, attitudes, morality and ethics, are like an iceberg. So let's start with here. So we have an iceberg here, and this is what is the sea level of the iceberg. Now 10% of the iceberg is what you can see, and 90% of the iceberg is submerged beneath the water. That means 10% of the person's behavior is actually known, and 90% of the person's behavior is hidden. So what is known is actually the ability or the knowledge, and that is obvious to others. What is not known or internal to oneself is the values, attitudes, morality, ethics, and all this form we can say is not visible to others and is a kind of submerged section of an iceberg. Now coming on to the basic ideas or the importance of understanding these concepts. All these 4 together kind of aim to develop a pragmatic idea or pragmatism, we can say. What is pragmatism? So pragmatism basically says that we reject any kind of unpractical ideas that exist, and we only focus on the practical outcomes or the practical consequences that are there. So that's the basic theme behind the VAME concept. So it talks about integrating the society, social integration, development of individual personality, and this is ultimately important to maintain a social order, or let's say there is no chaos in the society. For example, if everyone in the society starts to speak false or lie, what would happen? Then there would be no social order that could be established in the society. So for the society to run at a special order or at a special or a specific status, there needs to be a social order, and that social order is ultimately governed by individuals' drive or individuals' beliefs, emotions and actions, which ultimately are a part of this VAME concept. Now coming on to what is values. Now there are 3 terms that commonly come across: values, attitudes and interest. So interest is not actually a part of ethics. Just to bring out the concept here, we will discuss it briefly. Now there is a significant difference between the values and the attitudes. Values, we can say in Hindi, we call those as sanskar. So what is learned through the family initially becomes your values, and these are a set of beliefs that you follow. For example, let's say we have a value or a courtesy of bowing down to the elders, and that is a sign of respect. So that is a kind of value that is nurtured within oneself as one grows in the society. So values, typically we can say, are maintenance of a set towards attaining a particular goal, and that was as the definition given by Murphy, a very famous psychologist. Now, as we said, these are general beliefs in contrast to attitudes, which are directed behavior. So when it comes to attitude, I can say I have an attitude of avoiding dogs, or I have a negative attitude towards dogs, for example. So that becomes an attitude because it's a directed behavior to a class of stimuli, and that stimuli could be dog, for example. However, values are general set of behavior that is followed, for example, responsibility, obedience, honesty. So all these are generalized set of parameters that one has, and that comes through the process of socialization. Now when it comes from the process of socialization, we can say there are two basic sources through which you can attain values. Values could be attained either genetically, through your biological makeup, or through the environmental efforts or the social makeup. So when it comes to the environmental effort or the social makeup, we say socialization is a very important part, or has a very important role to play. So let's start with the family. So we start learning our values from the family itself. Then as we grow, we go to school. So we have the values that we learn in the school, with our peer group, with our society, with our occupation, and so on. So it's a kind of hierarchy or the social structure that exists that governs our values, and it's a process of continuous learning that ultimately occurs. So under values we have a kind of interpretation of what is right or wrong. So let's say I have an inborn value of kind of discipline on time, or having a discipline regarding time or punctuality, we could say. So what would happen in the other way round? In the other way round, if someone is not following punctuality in the class, it would be against my values, but it need not be against that person's value. So, but that's a kind of general social structure that says that punctuality is one of the values that need to be followed. So therefore you have all the schools and colleges which have a kind of set timetable, and you have set amount of classes and periods that occur. So all those are governed by the concept of values that we talk about. Ultimately it's based on the trust and the faith. So we said one of the example is bowing down as a respect, and when you are bowing down, that implies you are removing any kind of ego that exists in the mind. Similarly, effect of westernization is also there on the values. So a child who is born and brought up in India, and a child who is of an Indian origin but born and brought up in any other nation outside India would have differences in the value. Now these differences in the values would be attributed to the social setup that the person is being exposed to. So similarly, there is another example that we are trying to explain here. So let's say effect of westernization, if we talk about. Now when we talk about effect of westernization, you have two children, one being born and brought up in India, and another being born and brought up in United States. So let's say this child learns or knows all the Sanskrit shlokas, for example, and has a respect at least towards an elderly in the form of bowing down or kneeling down in their respect. But this child who is born and brought up in United States, let's say, has never seen such a phenomena or such a behavior that exists, because he has never been exposed to a kind of joint family system or kind of family system where there are numerous elderly people who are present. So that brings in difference in the values of the two children, and that values or the norms that have been established for themselves are independently correct for both of these. Now again, how these values are developed. So as we said, the base ground to develop the values is through families, teachers, peer groups, the process of socialization, textbooks, and ultimately through your role models. Now when it comes to why values are important for oneself, the basic idea is they influence ultimately our behavior and our attitude, how we behave towards others, and they are the foundation stone for the underlying perception about something, or how we perceive or how we see the other objects or the other phenomena that occur in the world. Now coming on to one of the another important concepts is the types of values that exist. So we can basically divide the values under two different heads. First is the terminal and the instrumental values, and next is the instrumental versus the intrinsic value. So when it comes to terminal and instrumental values are the end values or the final product. So when we say the ultimate aim is salvation or moksha, so that is finally a kind of terminal value that exists, and this terminal value could be divided again under two sets. One is a personal value and another is a social value. On the other hand, you have instrumental values, and these instrumental values are an instrument or a way that leads to the ultimate salvation or moksha, and that instrument is known as dharma or the righteousness, or moving on to a correct path. Now this instrumental values could be achieved in two ways. One is through your morals that are being set up, and the next is through the competence. Now again, the next difference that we are moving on is a difference between this instrumental value and the intrinsic value. So instrumental value is a kind of instrument or a means to achieve a value that is really valued. So for example, let's say money. So money is a way to achieve ultimately another value, that's happiness, or let's say hedonism, that ultimately brings happiness or reward to you. So it's not exactly the value that you are looking for, but it is a way or a means to achieve your inner satisfaction. However, on the other hand, you have the intrinsic values, and these intrinsic values are totally independent, or they are internal to yourself. So let's say your knowledge, your ability, your happiness is something that lies within yourself. It's not that is governed or governed by an external phenomena. So that is something how you feel about yourself and how you think about yourself, or how happy you are. Now the next concept is attitude. Attitude is something that you bring into action. So as we said, attitude is different from values. Under values we talk about general behavior. Under attitude we talk about a directed set of behavior. Now this directed set of behavior is usually bipolar. For example, let's take the same example that I talked about previously. Let's say I have a statement that I hate dogs. Now under this statement there could be two arguments, one is for and another is against. That is, there could be some people who hate the dogs and some people who do not hate the dogs, first of all. Secondly, the degree and the consistency varies. That means some people can hate dog more, some people can hate them less. So these are a kind of fluctuations that occur, and this is what is understood under attitude. So it's a kind of learned behavior, it's enduring, it's everlasting, it cannot be changed with time. So I cannot say I hate dogs today, and suddenly after 2 days I come and say now I like dogs, so I'll have one of those as pet. So that is not practically possible. So under attitude is something that is learned. So it takes its own time, it takes its own progression and duration in which it occurs, and it's an enduring predisposition. That means it lingers on somewhere in your mind with time, and ultimately it could be a kind of positive attitude or a negative attitudes about some object, person or a place. So it could be a kind of positive feeling associated to it, or a negative feeling associated to it. As we said, it develops unconsciously. So let's say about the same example again. So consciously you do not think that these are the following set 10 reasons because of which I hate the dog. It's just because I hate the dog, and it's something that has come unconsciously. I have not thought about it a lot, but it ultimately reflects in my mind. And finally, it's a kind of permanent change that occurs, and changing the attitude definitely can take place. There are many theories that work around changing the attitude, but that's a kind of separate topic under psychology that we would be covering when we talk about lectures on psychology, not much important for your ethical portion. However, this permanent change can be kind of overtaken or modified over time, but definitely not within a kind of fraction of days or fraction of months. The next is, how does attitude generation takes place? Now, attitude generation is a kind of process that occurs through socialization. So, you have a kind of belief or a cognitive feeling, a feeling or an understanding behavior relative to something that you try to understand. Based on that, you have your attitudes that are formed. These attitude leads to intentions or the reason why you want to pursue certain thing or your idea towards pursuing certain things, and finally your action that occurs as a behavior. So that's a kind of process that occurs under attitude. Now, if I have a good attitude towards something, it would increase productivity, reduce my stress level, it would have more competence and generate more output. However, if there is a negative attitude towards something, for example, let's say I am appearing for UPSC and from the very first day I have a negative attitude, there is so lot of syllabus, how would I cover? So what would it ultimately bring in? It would bring in a kind of resentment, aloofness, incapability to achieve something and bitterness in life, rather than if you have a kind of positive attitude that would bring you more effort and more joy and happiness to work around. Now, the very important portion for attitude is the ABC model. So why we call this as a ABC model? Because there are three pillars on which attitude is based. So A stands for the affective section, that's the feelings and the emotions attached to something. The next is behavior, how you behave, and that's a kind of overt behavior, what others can perceive about you. And last is the cognitive, the very important section that talks about the knowledge, the belief and the understanding that you have. So it's something that is internal to you. So let's understand this in a very funny way. So you have a person and you have the three components back here. So what he is doing with his brain is cognition, because he is understanding here. What he is doing with his heart or his affection or his feelings or emotions, and what the act is coming out is ultimately the behavior. So that's the very basic idea, the ABC model that we try to understand under attitude. Now, functions of attitude is another very important component of the attitude theory. So there are four functions that we try to understand. First is ego defensive. Under ego defensive, we try to protect ourselves from any unpleasant or harsh environment that occurs. So anything that we do not want to hear, we are just a kind of ego defensive behavior against that. So we just try to avoid that or ignore that. The next is value expressive or self-expressive. It acknowledges the need to tell others about yourself and how you have done your various things in the life. The next is adjustive or instrumental. It's also known as adaptive or utilitarian, and it talks about maximizing rewards and minimizing any punishments or penalties that occur. And finally, you have the knowledge function that allows to understand the cognitive component or understanding. Now, for details on all these, we would be uploading the complete handouts and the complete notes at doorsteptutor.com. So, for details, you can refer that. If you want to take down the notes right away, you can do that. The next is the difference between the attitude and the values. Now, we have a kind of table here that helps us understand the difference between attitudes and values. First of all, the basic difference, as we said, values are more general as compared to attitudes. They are less directly connected to oneself. However, values are strongly connected to oneself. So let's say if I feel that honesty is the best policy, it is highly connected to myself. It's not less connected. So attitudes are somewhat less connected. However, values are strongly connected to yourself. These are derived from the kind of social and the cultural experiences that you have. However, attitudes come out from your personal experience. So let's say I had a bad experience with dogs, so I hate dogs. So that's a kind of negative attitude that you have, or a kind of attitude that is developed as a response of personal experience that you incur. And the next is, these attitudes have a link to several beliefs, and these all numerous beliefs ultimately lead to a final object or a single object. However, under values you have one link that occurs between the belief to the object. So there is a single point of linkage. However, under attitudes there are numerous beliefs, and those beliefs ultimately lead you to a single object or a single point in mind that forms the attitude. Now, what is interest? As we said, we will discuss this briefly. So, interest is something which is a behavior oriented phenomena. So, it is a part of individual personality. Let's say I have interest in cooking, I have interest in art activities. So, this is something very personal to me, and it's a kind of individual activity that you try to follow. These can be acquired by environment, mostly are a result of environmental changes or environmental exposure, and sometimes these are result of heredity. And how the interest is developed. So let's say first of all there is a trigger that the interest receives, then you have to maintain that interest for a period of time. Finally, you have a new interest or an interest that emerges out, and a well developed interest then occurs. So, it is a kind of 4-stage process that occurs from the initiation to a well established interest that comes up. Now, in this class we have predominantly talked about values and attitudes. We will be covering the next very important topic, that is morality and ethics, in the upcoming lecture. So, definitely subscribe for all lectures on general studies for upcoming UPSC mains. Have a good day ahead.